Hello everyone. How are y'all feeling out there? Happy eclipse season. It is Saturn night, Venus hour. So technically 1:31 in the morning. It's been a minute. Just trying to balance this. I guess you can call it a work-life balance, which is what the eclipse in Pisces is all about. The full moon in Pisces. Full moon is in Pisces and the sun is in Virgo. And yeah, there's a couple of things I wanted to mention about this and all of the co-occurring aspects that are happening, this convergence of energy. So tomorrow, or actually 11:12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 7th of September is the eclipse. It is a total eclipse. It is visible, I think, in Europe, Africa, and East Asia, or the Middle East. We won't see it here in North America or in the Americas, but it will be a full total eclipse. And this is happening at 15 degrees Pisces. And let's see, there's a couple signatures that I wanted to mention that speak to the end of an era. So Saturn is also in Pisces, retrograded back in Pisces, and this is for the final time until another about 30 years. And what makes this particular cycle very significant is the conjunction with Neptune. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, which is all about dissolution, like dissolving what has been and endings and grieving. It's a very nebulous kind of feeling. You don't really know what can come next. It's very foggy, dreamy, illusory, can also be deceiving. It's all about dreams and fantasy. And the verb attached to Neptune is dissolve, erode, to make unclear, foggy. And that is what is happening with the structures that we have come to, I don't want to say know and love, but it's something that we've been programmed to just kind of get used to or be used to. Structures of religion. In Pisces, it has everything to do with religion and how it's been, the indoctrination of certain beliefs. And now Neptune is eroding that structure and eroding those beliefs. And so Neptune and Saturn will be, Saturn's already in Pisces, and Neptune will re-enter Pisces. Neptune's currently in Aries and will re-enter Pisces October 22nd. And each of them will Saturn's going to spend about 5 months in Pisces, and then Neptune will join Saturn, and then February, I think, 26th of 2026 is when they become conjunct at 1 degree Aries. They will be re-entering Aries around the end of January 2026. So Neptune's cycle around the zodiac is like almost 300 years. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. And Neptune, being the ruler of Pisces, makes it that much more potent. Neptune in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is all about oneness and forgiveness, and having that understanding and knowing that we are all connected. And so any sort of boundaries are dissolved. Like Pisces knows that we are all one. We come from the same source. And that's another thing that was crossing my mind when I was thinking about this Pisces lunar eclipse, is the significance of water. If we think about water is something that we take for granted. Like, we drink it, it hydrates us, and it washes things away. It cleanses the soul. Whenever we cry, when we shed tears, those are tears that is made from water. When we drink water, when we sweat, that is liquid form. That is water in some sort of way. And this is water that has come from the skies, that has been in the ocean, that is recycled and holds a lot of memory. So if we think about water, it has been with us since the beginning of time. and it holds a lot of memory. And right now there's so much remembering going on, and this reverence for water has become stronger. There's a lot of synchronicities with the different communities and groups that I'm in that are now blessing their water. Like, some people have been doing this for years. It's just kind of been in their nature. But having this reverence for water, that's also Saturn and Pisces, having this like respect and discipline for spiritual practices. But in the sign of Pisces, since it is a water sign, it's having that respect and connection with the element of water and everything that water represents. And so that has been coming through like pretty strongly. So that's a practice that's worth, I would say, incorporating into your daily routines, rituals. And that's also tied to Virgo. So Virgo is all the little things that we do in our life to keep the system going, to have our bodies running in tip-top shape, in this like manner that has the purest, cleanest kind of mechanisms operating, if that makes sense. And with the South Node in Virgo, we're detoxifying, cleansing, getting rid of the things that are impeding our highest operation. And so that can look like a number of different things, whether it is sleeping patterns, what you're eating, drinking, what you're absorbing energetically, any news that you have stopped listening to, which is like a really important and an important routine to incorporate, because the energies, the negatively charged messages that come through the news these days makes a huge impact on our psyche and the rest of our day. Like, you don't want it to be the first thing that you listen to when you wake up in the morning. And actually there's so many new artists that are coming out with positive messages, and I mean there's mantras that you can also incorporate into your daily routine. And actually there's a couple of quotes by Thich Nhat Hanh that I wanted to share. So one of them: man finds it difficult to let go of his suffering out of fear of the unknown. He prefers known suffering. And so that's kind of like this programming that we have been subject to. Another one, because I couldn't decide on which Thich Nhat Hanh quote to share: everything, including love, hate, and suffering, needs food to continue. If suffering continues, it's because we keep feeding our suffering. And so that ties into the information that we take in. And it's one thing to take it in, like being up to date with what's going on in the world, but then to share it, like we want to be, this one, speaking of Virgos also represent little animals. This is my best little animal. The information that we take in is one thing, but then to reshare and continue exposing more of what we don't want to see is another thing. So Saturn in Pisces is also about having the prudence of knowing what to share and what not to share, because it will impact other people's health. Like Virgo, the Virgo Pisces axis is all about health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health. Taking showers with iodine salt is another ritual to incorporate to spiritually cleanse the chakras. Absorbing positive energy when you wake up, and it can be birds chirping if you have the luxury of being in a place of nature and you can hear those birds naturally. You don't have to play a YouTube video, 7-hour video of birds chirping. But there's also these amazing artists that are coming out with fun music that have positive messages, and who also incorporate binaural beats into the music. So 432 hertz, 888 hertz. And one of them that I really like is Abel Hart. Abel Hart music, I just recently discovered him. He's got songs like Live It Up, Magnet, Love Myself. Love Myself, I think, is Kristen Teeb. Kristen Teeb has been around for a good minute. Free Soul, FR33SOL, and Londrell is another artist who makes amazing songs with, great messages, and they're danceable. Like, have fun with it, and when you're having fun and dancing and feeling the message, then that's the energy that will allow you to really manifest. So whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're focusing on while you're dancing to that music, that energy is kind of disseminated through the airwaves. Right now Uranus is in Gemini and can pick up on all of this mental energy, whatever we're thinking, speaking, writing, singing, talking about, conversations. This is kind of being distributed to Pluto and Aquarius, where we're able to make some really deep transformational changes, like systemic changes, systemic solutions. So it's the people, the collective power that is now in our hands. Now that Pluto is no longer in Capricorn, and the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, we are making these internal changes. Right now Pluto is retrograde, Uranus is retrograde, Saturn, Neptune are retrograde, and these are internal changes so that we can get clear on this new way of being. And right now, nonviolent communication has also been kind of like floating through the circuits that I am connected to, and it's pretty synchronistic how Marshall Rosenberg's book has been circulating. There's like a book club that I'll be participating in on Mondays, starting next Monday, and I feel like it has so much to do with, like just being aware of how triggering the communication that we've been subject to has such an impact on our emotions and our well-being, and we can just kind of tweak these things. That's Uranus and Gemini also. Uranus is all about breaking things down, like breaking down to break through, and in Gemini it's all about communication, words, language, learning, and in this case, unlearning. That's also what this eclipse is all about. We have this Pisces eclipse on Sunday, like less than 24 hours, and then we have the solar eclipse on the 21st, which is the Libra equinox, and that's going to be at 29 degrees Virgo. So that is going to be when the sun and moon are both at 29 degrees, which is a new moon, and it is co-present with the south node in Virgo. So that's where we're going to be releasing, and or things will be released for us that have to do with unproductive ways of criticizing ourselves, others, communication, and it could be definitely like material things too, since it is an earth sign. But with the nonviolent communication, like we are tweaking our communication style so that it is productive and we can actually move forward and learn from these, it may feel like tense situations, but we are learning. We're like moving through it so that we can move forward and evolve. Like we are spiraling up. This is not a downward spiral. So yeah, listening to these songs, these affirmations that are on this high frequency, and they're Abel Hart, Kristen T, Free Soul, Londrell. They're like the I guess new age or modern versions of Louise Hay, Stuart Smiley, if you ever watched Saturday Night Live. And yeah, there are ways of reprogramming our mind. It's like this reel that I saw that used the analogy of a plant whose pot broke. Like it fell out of their hand and it broke on the ground, but the roots were still intact. So all you had to do is like repot it or like plant it into the earth, and it's not lost. We can change our surroundings. We can change our pot, like just put it right into the ground. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And right now I've noticed that people who have the asteroid Juno at 1 degree Aquarius. Juno is the asteroid of partnerships and marriage, and Juno mythologically represents, she was like the goddess of the home. Like, she took care of the home, the children, and was the wife of Jupiter. But Jupiter was unfaithful, but she stayed married. She like put up with him. So it's kind of like where we also sell out. And right now Pluto is at 1 Aquarius. So you want to look in your chart to see where your Juno is, because I've noticed that a lot of people are going through this right now. And this nonviolent communication is something that I would definitely recommend looking into, so that you can learn to communicate and get your feelings out there in the open in a healthy way. With Pluto right there at 1 degree Aquarius retrograde, it's kind of grinding over that area. And whenever the moon enters Aquarius each month, it can be triggered. And even when the moon is in Leo, in the opposite sign, it can be triggered, or Taurus or Scorpio when there's a square. So this nonviolent communication is something that I highly recommend. Even if you just like search on YouTube for Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication videos, it can be helpful to kind of get an understanding of what it's about. Like, he used to be a mediator for like major countries. So it's more than just communication, it's also how to listen. So taking a pause before responding and really getting what the person is, really trying to communicate, really trying to express. So, yeah, this eclipse on the Pisces Virgo axis is a big one. Like Saturn and Neptune are dissolving and putting an end to things, to these systems, and it could be, old beliefs of paradigms that are on their way out, that are, kind of like no longer relevant. These are outdated paradigms. Conditions have changed. Our belief systems are changing, and that's another thing with Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, making a trine to the North Node in Pisces. Jupiter is all about wisdom and knowledge and truth, and in the sign of Cancer, that can be wisdom from indigenous cultures, like maternal, matriarchal wisdoms that have been suppressed. And so we are doing a lot of remembering these days. Nemesis also, gosh, where is she? Nemesis has recently gone direct. It was retrograde. I believe Nemesis is, why she's in the sign of, so yeah, Nemesis is another goddess asteroid that has come onto the scene. And Natasha Kealoha talked about Nemesis with Martha Stewart Hines on her channel, Living the One Light. And Nemesis is currently at or around 7 degrees Aries. It's probably moved along maybe a little bit since in the past couple months. But Nemesis is asteroid number 57, if anybody wants to see where Nemesis shows up in their chart. Nemesis is a goddess asteroid that holds a lot of matriarchal, ancestral, indigenous wisdom. And so before we know it, Saturn and Neptune will be catching up to Nemesis in Aries. And all of these first degree placements, Uranus in Gemini at 1 degree. Sedna is also at 1 degree Gemini. Uranus is retrograde and will re-enter Taurus around, I believe, is that November 7th? When Uranus re-enters Taurus, it'll go back to 27 degrees, which is where Algol is. And Algol is the demon star that has been misrepresented and also betrayed. These asteroid goddesses, like, the common thread is this theme of betrayal, whether it was betrayal by their father, which was Sedna, or betrayal by a fellow, betrayal by a friend. Athena cursed Algol. There's also Haumea, which is at I believe around 1 or 2 degrees Scorpio. So it's making a square to Pluto. And yeah, there's so many goddess asteroids that are surfacing right now that are making significant aspects to these first degree planets, Pluto, Saturn and Neptune, Uranus, whether it's in a conjunction or a square. There's some sort of loud conversation that is happening right now with the goddess asteroids. And yeah, let's see, Saturn ruling Capricorn. This is something that we can also look at in our own chart and see where Capricorn is represented, because Capricorn rules over hierarchy, authority, capitalism, greed. Also, on the lower end, extortion. All of this is being exposed. Yeah, Mercury, being the ruler of Gemini, is in Virgo, which is a very potent energy, and it's all about efficiency, and it is co-present with the South Node. So the South Node is a drain. It's going to release, diminish, extinguish those lower energy, lower vibrational energies of Virgo, which can be over-criticism, self-criticism, overthinking, and unlearning communication that might have felt like a defense mechanism or a way to protect our ego, such as like giving the cold shoulder or sublimation, which in my opinion is basically distractions, like staying busy to avoid going home, avoid dealing with your partner, but it only allows the situation to fester. So nothing is really solved, it just gets worse and worse. Like there's no communication that is happening. So another reason to look into the nonviolent communication. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to mention. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that helps. There's so much going on. These are easier said than done kind of things, like the work-life balance, trying to let go of any shame or guilt for tending to your body, to your rest, to your energetic levels. That's why I've been so flaky with these videos and even my newsletters. Like, as much as I want to put this information out there, it requires a lot of screen time. And yeah, the screen is just becoming very, like, I'm having these adverse effects to the screen. And with the sun, we're at the end of summer, and the sun is just so nourishing. Like, I'd rather be out in the sun, and like being on the screen in the sun is not the most ideal situation. So yeah, just kind of learning these things as we go, trying to figure out alternative ways to get information out. There are ways, there's communities out there that you can share your information with, and like just express your art, express your passions. Like, that's the most important thing, is to not hold it back and like not hold it in, because that's when illness occurs. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, I suggest listening to some awesome upbeat music. Yeah, this is Abel Hart. And another one is, what did I say? Free Soul, Landrell. So yeah, if you have any curiosity or you're feeling called to, take a look at your cosmic blueprint, your birth chart, it is the key. I mean, these stars were put in the sky for us to not only admire, but to learn about. Astrology has been around for generations, and there's been a period where it was gatekept, and only, the few select, maybe the 1%, the royalty, were privy to the knowledge, and having that awareness of its power, they wanted to gatekeep it and keep it to themselves. And it was like a strategy so that the people with this kind of knowledge had the power to keep everybody else kind of like under the thumb. But we are coming into an era of self-sovereignty, and that's something that we have to get used to. Yeah. So these are exciting times, and hopefully there's more of that energy floating around and we can claim it and know that, you know, there's a reason for everything. Yeah, we have more power than we've been told. We've been told that we don't have the power, but in fact we do. So yeah, hopefully that helps. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope to see you on the next one. Ciao.